Good morning. Ooh,
Morning. How are you?
I'm all right. I've obviously just clicked my video off. There I am.
There you are.
Yeah. Yeah, I've still got this weird time delay happening on my video, which is really disconcerting.
Yeah. It's odd, isn't it, when that happens?
Oh, actually, let me turn off this a lamp that causes this strobe effect. Hold on. There you go. That should. Still slow. It's a time lag. It's weird. Anyway, how's your internet going? All right?
Yes, fine, thank you. I was supposed to be lying on the sofa because my back's hurting a bit today. And then I realised that although I thought my laptop was charging up overnight, for some reason it hasn't. So I'm really low. I had to come back into the kitchen and plug it in. So I'm sitting on a kitchen chair rather than on the sofa. But anyway, apart from that, I'm fine. I just posted my score because I forgot to do it. I've just posted my score. I don't know if you saw it.
Oh, I haven't. So what was it?
7.5.
Okay.
So I've broken through that 7 barrier, but yeah, a 7.5. I think I'm doing okay. Yeah.
Good.
It's been a bit of a topsy-turvy week. It's a week where I needed things doing before I could move forward with things in the house. Because I think, I don't know if I mentioned, but we had a new kitchen last year, towards the end of last year, and lots of stuff. Hi. And hi.
Hi. I don't know what's going on. Hang on a second.
We've got you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
No, it's not giving my headset.
Right, I'll be there. Right, yes, morning, sorry.
Nice haircut.
Thank you. Yes, feels like being shorn a bit.
I've not had mine done for, can't remember, it's June. Well, I was it's always tied up like this and all the layers have come out and it's all, but anyway, what the heck.
No, I was lucky, I just managed to get mine in at the last minute.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have bothered if I wasn't going to my mum's funeral, really. So.
Yeah. I've just been avoiding it because I just don't want to. Just thinking all these blow dryers everywhere and people there and germs. And I just thought, I don't want to take the risk. Not so much now, but earlier on in lockdown.
Yeah. Well, I went to the hairdresser. And there were only 2 people in there, and we were on opposite sides of. I mean, that was the whole place, just 2 people.
Yeah, actually, I suppose they must be having. I didn't really think it through. I suppose they must have it organised somehow so that they put people at minimum risk. But
yeah. Oh no, mine was very organised. Apart from the fact that 2 of the older ladies turned up an hour before their appointment, so suddenly there was far too many people.
Oh.
And it's like, oh, what can we do? We can't really send them away because one of them, struggled with walking or something, and so yes, I think because it was the last day before lockdown, it was busier than it would normally have been.
Anyway. Yeah.
It'll be another 6 months before I do it again.
Yeah, probably me. So Geraldine was just sharing her numbers just edged above 7, which is lovely. What about your number, given what everything else is going on? Where does your number feel like it is, Leslie?
Me, I just managed to put excuse me, put something into the group just a few minutes ago. I did struggle with it, to be honest. I kept thinking, oh, I don't know. I'm overthinking it, but I think what I did decide on was around a 5 at the moment. But I think that's particularly to do with my mum and how the family are not necessarily dealing with it between ourselves. I think if it hadn't been for that, then I'd have been much higher, I think.
Yeah.
But it could have been a lot lower, really, is the better way to think about it, because I think I'm probably coping with things better than I would have done if I hadn't had the support and background with this group, and started to learn that I've got to make me time and plan it, rather than just hope I'm going to find some time to do it.
Yes, I love that. Yeah.
I thought I just went on before as well, and I think your post was really positive for what you said about how you felt that you're dealing with things better than you would, and so I think, and because of the difficult situation at the moment, the
Yeah,
sport,
I mean, lockdown doesn't help, but it's
no, but I also meant with your situation, yeah,
Yeah.
well, the situation, you know, your mother planning the funeral, family emotions, and lockdown.
And lockdown, yeah.
So actually, I think that your score was really, really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think it's just realizing, and that's what I'm going to do this morning, is just recap like everything that we've done, everything that we've shared, just to, you know, to close things out, that we can go, you know, some of it will be, oh yeah, I'd forgotten that, or oh yeah, that works really well for me, and just to reinforce that you just keep doing the same things that you have been doing, and you're going to ride this out, and it's going to be even better, you know, in the coming weeks. So that's what I wanted to share. So I don't know, you've obviously been on Facebook a little bit more recently than me. Did Sharon or Jackie post? Are they going to join us? Did you know?
Sharon posted a score, didn't she?
Okay.
And but she didn't particularly say whether she was joining or not. But
Right. Well, she normally turns up. She'll probably turn up the minute I start this, because that's what usually happens. Oh dear, I planned that.
So how's your back doing, Geraldine?
Well, I was just saying to Shirley, I'm supposed to be. Oh, there she is.
There she is.
Hi.
Sorry.
I was just answering Leslie's question, Sharon. I was supposed to be on the sofa because it's a bit sore today. I did have some treatment earlier in the week, and it has helped. But today it's just a bit sore. But I was supposed to be lying on the sofa with the laptop. Then I realised it hadn't charged overnight as I thought it was doing. So I'm back at the kitchen table while it's plugged in. Otherwise, I might have just lost you all.
Oh no!
So,
Oh dear.
but thanks for asking. It is getting better, I think. My leg's
Good.
still a bit numb. The numbness in the thigh is still there. So
Well,
see.
if at any point you feel the need to lie on the floor and you disappear from the screen, that's fine with us.
All right, thank you.
Well, that's so horrible, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's, you know,
Yeah.
it's not excruciating or anything like that. So it isn't, you know, as bad as it could be. I know that people have severe back pain. It's terrible, but it's not. It's just a bit niggly and a bit irritating. And the numbness in the thigh is really irritating. But I think
At least you managed to get some treatment as well.
I mean, the thing is, I've finished what the doctor prescribed. I finished the anti-inflammatories. I've still got the codeine, but I'm not taking it. So I've not taken painkillers for 3 days. So that's a good sign, I suppose, that I'm not in extreme pain. But yeah, so thank you. I'm fine. I'll be all right.
Sharon, did you want to share? What I was just going to do, I was just saying, is recap everything we've done, what we've, you know, the journey we've come on, just to reinforce everything that you've already done, and maybe to remind you some of the things that perhaps you've forgotten or left by the wayside, and remembering that some of the things we share are really, really hypercritical, like don't leave them out, and others are just kind of optional. If it works, do it, and if it doesn't, it doesn't matter. But just before I do that, did you want to pitch in with anything? Because I haven't been to the Facebook page to see what everyone's posted this morning.
I posted quite late. I didn't post anything really. I just put a number rather than, I thought it'd be, personally would prefer to like chat about things. Whoops.
Yeah. Yeah. So what number did you
rather
put?
than post it. Oh, I put 5 today because I'm fluctuating, but that's life.
That's all right. Yeah. Yeah.
Normally maybe back up. Normally about a 6. Which is not my normal self at all, but it's better than when it started.
Yeah, much better. Yeah, because it was down at 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And you're looking happier as well.
Yeah, you are.
The last few times, and
Yeah.
I don't know, today maybe the pink helps as well, but it's
I think it does.
you're
think
certainly
pink's always good.
looking.
You know, I think
I just
none of us should underestimate. I know we talked about Leslie's obviously going through bereavement on top of everything, but we're all under, I mean, this crazy situation we're living with, and sorry about the light, I don't know what's going on here. We're all going through a really crazy situation, which is elevating stress levels beyond where they might normally be, or rather elevating the potential for stress. So the fact that you're all going through this and managing to make some progress, and also reaching that kind of almost magical 5 point, which means you've got that 1 foot hold there on the wall, and you can start thinking about maybe moving forwards. Whereas when you're below 5, it can feel like you're just standing looking at a huge mountain or a wall, and it's like, how the hell am I ever going to get up that? So let's just recap, and I'm just going to briefly go through what we did at the very first thing. So remind everyone of stress buckets and what it is that we're dealing with. So we know that with our stress bucket, we want to keep it as empty as possible, because we want to be producing serotonin, and sleep helps us with that, because if we can get good REM sleep, then that will help clear out loads of stuff in that bucket and maintain our serotonin levels, keep them nice and calm. I'm going to whiz through this bit and then I'll get onto some other stuff. So if we've got unresolved surplus, in other words, we're putting more in that bucket than we've got space for, that then starts to tip us down beneath the 5, and we've got depleted serotonin, therefore we don't feel as calm, we don't feel as happy, and when we don't feel calm or happy, we can't think straight and we can't cope. And that's when we start on that slippery slopes, sort of sliding down, if you like, that becomes like a greasy pole rather than a nice place with footholds and handholds. So, and we know that when that happens, we're also at risk of anxiety, depression, anger, massive frustration and irritation, and we're at risk of depression too when that happens. So it's the kind of modern version of fight or flight, and we start to see the symptoms of it, of depleted buckets. And so this is what's important to remember. If when you start to notice, if your thoughts start straying to the past, even if the past is yesterday, like, oh, if only this had happened and that hadn't happened, or looking at the future thinking, oh no, it's all going to go horribly wrong, I know it will, because it went horribly wrong last time, and this will happen and that will happen and the other will happen. If we catch ourselves in those moments of observing, thinking, shifting into worst case scenarios, then we know we've started to overload that bucket, and that's where we just need to go, whoa, hang on a minute, and re-engage with some of the tools and strategies that we've been using, because it will happen, it does happen. So that's our key thing. Oh, moving through this nice and quickly, that's good. Oh, remember that thoughts equal things. So it's not just the things happening in life, like the stress at work, like relatives dying or relatives under stress, or our backs hurting. It's not just the real things, it's what we think about those things. And the more we engage with churning over and over that repetitive process of, oh no, it's all dreadful, it's all horribly wrong, oh, I feel awful about this, you know, if only, and then we very quickly, I mean, it's always, nearly always prefaced, or not prefaced rather, but followed by, if only this, and what if. So that thought things immediately goes into the past and the future. So we have to be mindful of our thoughts, basically. We can't deal with, or rather we can't do much about the actual things that happen. Well, we can take some steps, like Geraldine, you've taken the actions you can for your back, you've taken painkillers, you've seen the doctor, you've done your Bowen, you've done everything you can. So that's that. But then beyond that, your thoughts about how you feel, about how you deal with it, that's where you're totally in control of, how do I think about this? And we know that thoughts also relate to pain. You know, when we're under more stress, we feel more pain. So there is a direct correlation between physical pain and emotional pain. And this, you know, the same with any of us. Whatever we're going through, there's so much we can control, and then the rest we can't. So it's just being mindful of how we think about it and letting go, realizing, okay, and maybe like a repetitive question of, can I actually do anything about this thing? And sometimes you can, but we come back into you have to keep the buckets empty to be able to access that thing you can change. Because if the bucket's overloaded, your brain won't even come up with the solutions that say, yes, I can do something about this. It will just be caught in this vortex where we start spiraling down. So the key thing is repetition, because our brains naturally, it loves repetition. Unfortunately, when we're in a negative space, the repetition works against us. So it keeps taking us over and over and over and over. Like we just keep working that thing that upsets us. Like, oh, let me just pick that over a little bit more. Let me just dive a bit deeper. Let me agitate the wound. Let me keep at it. We keep repeating what doesn't work. So all we're saying is, this is how my brain likes to work. So if I start gently to shift, even the smallest little shift towards something that feels good, something I want, something, the tiniest of things, and start agitating that with repetition, then gradually our brains will work with us. But to begin with, we have to physically move the boulder and just change the direction of the meter, or whatever analogy I might be using in that moment. So, and that's all about synaptic connections and neural pathways. So what we're using is neuroplasticity to create a new way of thinking and feeling that makes us more resourceful, more resilient, and is kind of delightfully unpredictable, not in a horrible way, but in a lovely way, that suddenly thoughts open up, possibilities open up, that we just couldn't see before. Like when we're in the midst of feeling overwhelmed and depressed and low and frustrated, we can't see anything. It just all seems very black and bleak. But the minute we start to empty that bucket and create these new neural pathways, things open up that we really didn't see them before. It was almost like they didn't exist, and now they exist. Right, that was me. I just wanted to recap, because we did that in the very first session. Hello, are you all still there? Is everyone? Yeah. Oh, okay, right. I've lost my screen. So, as long as you can still hear me, I can't see any of you now.
Oh.
Okay.
I can see everybody.
All right, good. No, it's my screen. I have oh god, now I have to divulge that. The setup I have here, there's a connection that's loose between, I've got a little laptop that's connected to a bigger screen so that I don't have to look down at this tiny thing. And the connection's not very good, so it's normally propped up with a ruler just to maintain the connection. And I think I just put something down on the desk and the ruler slipped. So now I'm looking at nothing but a blank screen. But as long as you can hear me, just shout. Yeah. Just shout if you suddenly lose volume as well. I'll faff with it in a minute. Right, so all of that, you'll feel like, yeah, I know that now. I know that now. You'll have to speak to me because I can't see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of it.
Good. So what we've also done is we focused on calming the inner critic. You know, that's a big thing when we're in that negative space of we can become our own worst enemies. We start telling ourselves that we're not worthy, not capable, we've lost the plot, we never were good enough, or we used to be, but somehow, you know, age or something has affected us, and we're perhaps not as good as everybody else. Maybe other people deserve stuff that we don't. Why can someone else do this amazing thing and we can't? And we get really, really harsh with ourselves. And again, that comes down to the buckets. It's always about the buckets. So if we hear ourselves repeating that negative dialogue. It's about interrupting it, just interrupting it, going, well, hello, just 1 second there, just one itty bitty moment, and just challenging it in a gentle way, going, is that valid? Is that really valid? And even if you're in that emotional state where you can't rationally figure out whether this is valid or not, the truth of the inner critic is that it's not your friend, and you don't want anyone in your circle, which includes in your head, who isn't supportive of you, who isn't going, do you know what? You're doing a flipping great job. Under the circumstances, you are doing brilliantly. So think of your inner critic like that. If it starts telling you you're rubbish or you're not good enough on any level, it's like, no, you're not in my circle anymore. I'm not willing to entertain what you're giving me. I am worthy. So butt out, leave the room. And we also looked at focusing on positive attributes in ourselves. This follows on from the inner critic of recalibrating, if you like, and going, well, hang on a minute. I'm good at all these things. And sometimes we have to ask people we care about who will say nice things to us. But we also want to ask ourselves, well, hang on a minute, all those things that I perhaps am telling myself I'm not good at, what am I good at? And sometimes things that other people tell us are faults are actually really great qualities. So, you know, if you think back, I think I put a post on Facebook the other day about when I was a child, you know, I would always have been told off for talking too much. I'm still a bit mindful of that. And right now I'm thinking, oh God, you're talking too much, Shirley. But you're kind of supposed to. But it's recalibrating, going, hold on, just because someone else said that was not a good skill, is that valid? You know, are there places where that can be a good skill? No, this is a strength that I have. And in the right circumstances, it's a great strength. So reevaluating yourself and your attributes. And even if you put something down and you go, oh, I'm not very good at, go, well, hang on a minute, is that true? Is that really true? And when you do this, you can often discover you're way better at things that you think you're not good at. I used to tell myself that I was rubbish at organising, and I believed that. I was like, oh no, don't ask me to organise anything. And then I looked at all the things in my life, like all the things that I had actually organised, like, you know, where I live, the work I do, like putting together, you know, campaigns or programmes or products or you know, sort, you know, all kinds of things. Well, hang on a minute, if I were disorganized, if I wasn't good at this, would I be able to do that? So reevaluate again that inner critic. Is that true? And then focus on, do you know what, I'm going to have to fidget with this flipping. Just talk to me for a second while I mess around with my screen, because it just feels weird talking to a black screen. Oh, how's your back there?
Sorry, I'm going to cough rather than talk.
You cough, right, stay, please stay. Okay. Just got to be very careful. Right,
back.
I know I can see you again. This is so much nicer being able to see you again. I mean, I know I'm racing through what we've done over, what is this? This is our 12th. This is our 13th getting together, so lucky 13. All right, it's Friday as well. So I know I'm racing through it, but as I'm describing some of these things, are you connecting with your journey and thinking maybe where you've started to think a bit differently about yourself, about what's going on?
Oh, we lost that last bit. I lost that last sentence.
Oh, I was just saying, as I've been talking to my black screen and reminding us about, you know, the things that we touched upon, you know, as we've gone through this, and I'm just talking about the first week really so far. Has it reminded you about things that you've done for yourself, how you've maybe changed the way you think about you and what you're worth and what you're doing?
Yeah, definitely. It has.
Sharon, have you seen your worth more than maybe you were giving yourself credit for at the beginning?
Yeah. No, to be honest, I was literally sitting there thinking, actually, I'm really still struggling to figure out any more what I feel I'm good at. And I know it's under there, but I probably need to come away from a couple of situations, have a bit of a break from them if I can,
Yeah.
to then re-figure out myself.
Yeah.
So I think it works. It's, you know, that the whole, like what you're describing is really, it's a really good process and a really helpful process.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I recognise you are really hard on yourself. Really hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Can I just say something in relation to what Sharon's just said?
Yeah.
I think that when you told your employers or your line manager or whoever it was, you said that you weren't happy with the situation, and it was, I think you said it was something compromising your integrity. Well, that is one thing that you're good at. Your integrity is something that you value and that you work by. So in fact, it's just perhaps the current situation and the people that you're working with who are making you feel that you don't have qualities or values or skills, or you're not good at anything, because they're not acknowledging the things that you bring, because they don't want to think about it, because it doesn't suit their targets or whatever it is at the moment they want. So the fact that you did that, the fact that you actually is, I think, it is indicative of what your skills are, because I thought that was really strong and brave and needed to be said. And they know now, and maybe they'll be, I don't know, it's like turning a ship round, isn't it? It takes a long time. It's just a slow process. But so I think that in fact they're perhaps not helping you in seeing what you're good at and what your skills are and what you know, because they don't have the same values.
And that's
why
it's so important.
That's exactly it.
That's why it's so important for you to own your value, you know, who you are, because you can't rely on other people doing it for you, and B, even if you did, you can't, like, who's to say they're right about you? Only you know deep down what you're capable of and who you are. And I would echo what but also, you know, if I see the qualities that you've
frozen
in this group,
we seem to be having a bit of a
time lag, isn't there?
A lag and a whatever.
It's like we're suddenly like Australia and America, and the satellite has gone down. But what I wanted to say, Sharon, is, you know, the qualities you've shown up within this group are really powerful. You know, however low you've been, you're there, you're contributing to others, you're open. I mean, being open to learning and change, and not going, yeah, I know that. That's a really powerful quality and attribute that you have in abundance. You know, you haven't once gone, yeah, well, you know, I've done this, I've done, you know, got a degree in that and been doing it for years. And you could easily have taken that approach, but you don't, that's not in your nature. Your nature is to be open and available for learning. And I think you need to own that in quite a big way.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I think Geraldine summed it up completely, entirely, in its entirety. And you've just also, you know, summed up other aspects. So I think I've kind of just got to a place, I'm getting to a place where I think I know who I am, and I've just got to now make a decision whether who I feel I am fits with the organisation I'm in or not. And I think that's probably the crux for me. And then once I've got to that point of that decision, I think I can move forward.
Yeah.
Using all the skills you've given us. So that's all it is. That's all it is with me, nothing more. There's an imbalance between myself and the organisation I'm working for.
Have they changed? Have they changed over time? Have you noticed a shift in the way that their ethos and their and the
way? Terribly, horribly so.
Have you thought of reading your original work contract and pointing out to them the ways in which they're detracting from that or moving away from that? Because that would put them in a bit of...
Sorry, I missed a bit. Was that like a work?
Have you thought about...
a couple of us have suggested.
Have you thought about looking back over your work contract and the detail in it about what they expect of you and what their ethos is and what their aims and goals are, and pointing out to them how much they've moved away from that? Because that
a couple of us are actually, well, three of us really looked at that last week. But no, don't worry, I won't take up the time here. But in essence, the managers are saying your contracts are flexible. We can change your contracts at any point we want, so they're absolutely invalid.
Love those contracts.
So, don't worry, but I don't want to take up time here. But thank you, Geraldine. Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah. So just moving on with the recap then. I guess it's relevant as well. We've moved away from the what versus the not. So it's very easy when we're under stress and overwhelmed and our scales are down beneath 5 to focus on what we don't want rather than what we do want. And just shifting that. So every time we think about, I don't want this, we need to challenge ourselves, go, okay, if I don't want that, I want to open my thinking to what I might want. And it's not, I have to commit to this thing that I said I want. I think that's the thing we sometimes think, no, if I think about what I want, then that becomes what I have to do. It's just opening thinking. So so yesterday, for example, I was talking to someone, who wanted no stress and no pressure, which is understandable. It's like, oh, yeah, well, yeah, of course you do. But it's moving past that, going, well, what does it look like? If you have no stress and no pressure, what do you have instead? What's there? What fills the vacuum? Because we almost start, it's almost like when we get dressed in the morning, we go, oh, I know what I'll wear. I'll wear my dress suit and my pressure hat. and that becomes our perspective for the day. Whereas we go, but and then because we think, if I'm not wearing the stress and the pressure, what am I wearing? I'm naked. Oh, there's this. I can't. There's nothing else there. It defines us. We become the stress and the pressure. And just thinking, right, I've got to think about this. What exists for me if I don't have this? And if we've been carrying it for a long time, that is a tough question. Because it's tough, we kind of go, oh, I'll skip that question. What's the next question? And we need to be a bit firm with ourselves. Go, no, answer the question. What do you want instead of what you don't want? What might life look like if I wasn't overwhelmed with stress and pressure? Who am I when I'm not overwhelmed with stress and pressure? Am I someone that laughs and sings and jokes and, looks out of the window for 10 minutes? Is that who I am when there's no stress and pressure? And that's the question we need to make sure we answer for ourselves. Whenever we hear what I don't want, we got to come back with, well, what do you want instead then, Shirley? What do you want? Just tell me what you want. And that links into the language. Remember, we talked a little bit about language. So if we hear ourselves saying should, I should be doing this, really? How can I shift that should into a want? Because even when it's stuff that we don't like, that we didn't create, or we don't feel like we created, if it's in our lives and for the time being we haven't, there's not a lot of choice in it, we have to own up and go, okay, well, this actually is a choice, because I chose, at some point I made a choice that got me here. I may now be thinking, perhaps wasn't the best choice, but I made a choice. So the should needs to be removed, because that just, it kind of puts the choice outside of us. It says, oh, I should be doing this. Well, who says? And if it's like, well, I'm stuck in this situation where that has to happen, we have to just re-own it and go, I might not like it, but I'm choosing it. And I'm choosing it until I choose something different. And if I'm not making sense, let me give you an example of someone I was talking to yesterday, who's in that whole furlough place, so has a job, but is at home the whole time and has to self-motivate to get things done, and finding it really, really hard. And And then because it's really hard, they find themselves on the computer just as they're wasting time. It's how they're perceiving it, is I'm wasting time. And what their head is going is, I should be doing something productive. I should be working on, the next big project. I should be really on it for my employer. And yet all the while they're doing this, just wandering around on the internet, doing a bit of gaming. And yet every moment of them doing this thing that isn't the work, in the background is a dialogue that says, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing this. And that just makes them feel rubbish while they're doing the thing that's not helping them. Whereas if they said, this is what I choose in this moment, and actually I'm going to own that, I've chosen it, and I'm going to choose, and then even move it forward and say, look, I choose to do this for 2 hours. I know I'm paid to do 8 hours, and I'm going to do, but I'm at home. Hey, it's hard. I choose to do this for 2 hours. Let go of all of the shoulds. And then it becomes so much easier to choose to do the thing that you think you should be doing later. Does that make sense, or is that kind of messed with your heads a bit?
No, that's something I identify with. I not with sort of playing games on the computer or anything, but no matter what I was doing, I always felt as if I should be doing something else. Even if I was reading a book, I should be doing something else. If I was doing the gardening, I should be doing something else. If I was doing the laundry, I should be doing something else. It was just everything I did, I should be doing something else.
Yeah.
And it's just awful. It really is a horrible, horrible feeling. But that's going now. That is definitely going now. I'm not doing that anymore. So,
Yeah.
I think I was fairly similar. I had my to-do list of things that I should have been doing, and I wasn't doing any of them, or some of them I was, but it wasn't necessarily the highest priority. And I always felt that I didn't know if I was doing the right thing or not. And equally, I would get distracted and be playing some games or just looking around on the internet or Facebook or whatever, and thinking, I'll just do a few more minutes, which turns into an hour or something, and I should have been doing this, should have been doing that. But yes, I'm changing my attitude to those at the moment, although yes, I'm still going to do some of them, but I don't think I've done it in that conscious way that you've just been explaining, but I can see that that's where I'm getting to, that I'm choosing that I am going to do that when I want to do it, and not worry about the shoulds.
Brilliant. I feel that one massively, because I've carried that kind of guilt with me for such a long time, for me, I feel like it goes back to a specific person I once worked for, who, if we finished the work, she would go, well, what are you sitting there for? There's you could clean out that cupboard. You could, even though that's not what we were employed for, was cleaning out cupboards, but hey, we could be cleaning out cupboards. And so any downtime, it wasn't good that we were productive and we got our work done. we should be doing something else. We should be feeling guilty about the fact that we'd finished our work on time. And so I have carried that, whether that does relate to them, but I've carried that with me everywhere. So, but now if I go, no, I'm choosing, like yesterday, for example, the sun was shining and it was really beautiful. And there was a little voice in me that said, no, you ought to go upstairs and get on with that, whatever it was I was supposed to be doing yesterday. There's always something, isn't there? I mean, that's the other thing. There's always something that you could be doing. And I thought, no, I choose right now, this is my life, this is my, you remember that perfect day in the life? I choose to go out and walk because that's going to serve me really well. I need the vitamin D. It would be good to get some exercise, just go for a walk for half an hour. And I can appreciate the fresh air and the sun and the beauty and all of that. And all of that will serve me really well. And that's what I choose in this moment. And none of that stuff won't make any difference. It doesn't matter. I choose this. And I'm not going to be wandering around while I'm walking, because in the past, and while I'm walking, as Geraldine and Leslie were saying, I'd have been thinking, oh, yeah, this is really nice, but you know, there's that pile of work back there, and then you've got to do this project, you've got to do that project. No, I'm choosing the walk. I'm going to fully engage with it, and that can empty your bucket faster than anything when you just engage with that process. It's incredibly powerful. Which leads on to prioritizing yourself, which I think a lot of people misconstrue when they talk about putting yourself first. I see lots of what I call superficial trivia kind of things about that means having your hair done and having your nails done and having a massage. And I'm not decrying any of that. That's all lovely. If that makes you feel good, then obviously you do it, but that's not the extent of prioritizing you. Prioritizing you is what I can't remember, one of you I think said just this morning about just creating that bit of time in a day, however small, you know, key points in the day that are only about you and what you want. Even if it's 10 minutes of looking at window time or meditation time, or it's just saying I matter enough that's the first thing I do, not the last thing. Yes, I know, it was Leslie, I remember now. Leslie, you were talking about
I was going to say, yes, it sounded a little bit like me.
Yeah.
Yes, before I used to sort of think, oh, I'll find some time somewhere, and then I didn't. And now it's realizing that I have to make the time, and plan it in, and make sure that I take the time for me. So after this, I'll go for my run.
Yay.
Well, maybe after the shopping arrives, but because obviously that's a set hour that's due to arrive. But yeah, because I can't do it early now. It's cold and frosty and foggy and stuff. So
that's brilliant, and that's exactly it. That's the shift, which is so simple to say, but is quite challenging to do. But once you do it, again, it tips the balance. It puts you back, feeling back in control of your life. Just these small things. It's about feeling like, hang on a minute, whose life is this? Oh, I think it might be mine. I think it might be me. And that leads on to the whole, you know, what other people think thing. Because so much of our life is consumed by, but what will other people think if I go for a run in the middle of the day, or I say no when normally I say yes, or, you know, whatever it is, we can fill that bucket so fast with thoughts about, but people will think, which may or may not be valid, but frankly, I mean, this, you know it. I'm not saying you just kind of ride roughshod over everybody. That's not what we're talking about here. But it's just, you know, owning your value, which comes back to your qualities and your attributes, and going, well, actually, no, I know I've always done this before, but it does, why am I doing this? It's not helping me, and it's making me feel rubbish, and therefore I'm not going to do it. If that's what the answer is, or I'm doing this run, or, you know, or I'm changing jobs, you know, if that's the decision you come to, Sharon, for example, it's not about what anybody else thinks about that. It's about how you feel about any decision you take, not about what other people think. We can take it into consideration. We can be open. We can listen. We can be supportive. But ultimately, it's what matters to us. Because when we're feeling, you know, and Geraldine used the word earlier and relating it to Sharon about that integrity, then that is a powerfully uplifting tool that actually empties that bucket really quickly. If we can feel like we can rely on ourselves to be true to something and not give in and not fold, then no matter what happens around us, no matter what people say or do, you can come back to that core of because we've talked about core, like the stick of rock thing as well before, of, you know, at my core, does that meet my standards of integrity, of what matters to me? Yes, it does. Excellent. So there's my temperature check, if you like, or my, there's a word I'm looking for and I can't think what it is. And that brings us to the perfect day in the life, which is not, as we talked about last week, you know, lying on a beach somewhere, flying on a plane, COVID miraculously disappears, and all of a sudden we can, you know, we have money just falling out of cupboards every time we open them. So we don't just do what we like. It's about all those tiny little threads that we do experience in every day, and paying more attention to them. Like, it looks like it's sunny where we all are. So that, for example, is it sunny where you are?
Yes, even in Manchester.
Even in Manchester.
Beautiful.
You know, like that, or like I did a podcast about it this morning because I woke up, as I do, and I do my cold shower and I do my meditation, and I opened the blinds to this just gorgeous morning, and the mist was hanging on the fields, and I realise I'm blessed to live where I live, but I think even if you live in the middle of the city, the sky's still there, and there was this red glow, you know, and it was really beautiful. And the more I focused on that, the more it led my thoughts to other things about, you know, being cozy inside, and then when the heating clicked on, that was really nice, and like the flavour of my coffee, it just refocused my attention on all of the lovely things, into the most random things, like, you know, whether what you're wearing is, you think, oh, I really like this, I really like the fact this feels soft, I really love this colour, or oh, you know, I really love the fact that I can completely breathe out and not feel constricted in any way when I wear whatever I'm wearing, or just tiny things. Or I love the fact that, oh, I love it when I wear those earrings. Where are those earrings? It starts a cascade of thinking that sustains us, and that's the thread. You know, that's what we want to build each day on, because when we create that cascade, then anything is, you know, we can cope with anything, any rubbish that happens in our lives. We've always got that thread. We just got to help our brains do what they do naturally, which is feed on the good stuff and find more of it. And the final thing are just tools. So those are all the things, just one or two things, but there's a commonality to all of that. And there are the tools that you can use, which is entirely down to you. But there's the meditation, working in a way that works for you. There's that traffic lights decision making that we talked about last week, about the red, green and the amber. You know, do I really want to do this? Do I want to do this now? Do I want to do this later? Do I never want to do this? And there's also, remember your scaling as a tool you can use for on a day-to-day basis, of thinking, what number am I at today? And then ask yourself why, but focus on the positives, like, why am I this number? What would make me answer differently? What would make me answer 6 instead of 5, or 8 instead of 7, or how lovely, 10 instead of 9? And you can just populate your day by occasionally asking that question and going, oh, why am I answering this number? What would make it higher? And I can't believe there's 10 minutes to go. But we can overrun a little bit if that's right with you. So has that reminded you of what you've done? Have you heard some of it as if you've heard it for the first time, or are you just happy to just let it filter in?
It's good to have it as a reminder, and I think from my point of view, particularly the first ones I missed live, it's better to have those reiterated, because you don't pick up the same when you're watching a recording back.
That's
yeah. And obviously they were key, because they're that sort of the grounding of the whole thing. So that was good to have that again.
Oh, good. I did rush through it, so I'm
No, that's fine. It just helped to reiterate what not what I missed, but what, you know, the key aspects of what the initial sessions were.
yeah.
But yeah, definitely helpful.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad. And remember that so you've got access to the recordings for everything that we've done together, so you can maintain access. As I said, I'll leave the group open and I will leave the recordings there. The recordings are also, I need to update it. They were up to date a couple of weeks ago, so I need to update it in the members area, but you can access it here or there, so it's your choice. And I won't close the group, I'll leave it open. But also remember, if you haven't already dipped into it, that the midlife reinvention also covers all that we've done, but just maybe, you know, it's been presented in a different format, but fundamentally it's the same material, just going through it maybe in a different way because of the way it was just run differently. And that you've got access to that, so that won't go away either. I'd quite like to do a little closing meditation piece, just because I think it'd be nice. But before I do, is there anything else? Well, no, I don't. Actually, how's everyone for time if we overrun by about 10 minutes?
Yeah, I've got to go by 10 past. But that's fine. I can go quietly. Only because trains are up the spout and I have to get my son into college.
Oh, crikey. Okay.
No, it's the one day I'm like, but I can go. That's no problem. I'll hang on till to the very last second. And if I have to go, I'll go quietly and I'll just post something later.
Bless you. So, as this is the first time that this has been done, what would you change in the way the program's been run, or what you get done through it? You know, what would you change? What would you value? What do you think you would like to take out that perhaps you haven't had? I'm just interested in your thoughts.
I find that quite difficult. There's lots to think about. It has been really good actually putting it all together today, like kind of starting from session 1 going through to today. I think that's helped round it all off, bring it all off, as Leslie was saying.
Good.
But for me to feedback now, it takes me a while. It'd be good for me to process and think, oh yeah, what did I really get from that? Was there anything that might be helpful to do differently? And could I post that?
Yeah,
I think I struggle now to do that off right now.
Yeah, I'd love you to. If you're happy to do that, then that's really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, I must admit, that sounds very much like me, that I do struggle to think quickly through things like that, and do appreciate a bit more time to.
Yeah, I know I've put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Because I've not done anything like this before, and I didn't have any concept of what it might be like, or any particular expectations, or, for it to go in a certain way. I'm not sure that there's anything that I would suggest needs to change, or I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I don't have a sort of a point of comparison, or I don't have any I had no preconceptions as to what it might be like. So or what I thought I would want from it. So I can't think of anything really that I would say, oh yeah, I'd love like this, or I'd love like that, because all I know is that my score's gone up, so that's great.
Yeah.
So it must have delivered.
Yeah. And that was the one thing I did promise right at the outset.
Yeah. But if I do think of something, I'll put it on. But I didn't have any hard, sort of rigid views about what I expected to get from it. So no, it's been very helpful.
Mm.
All right.
I would also say as well, you definitely seem more, like your score's gone up from the start to now, Geraldine. You can kind of see it.
I think we all do. I think we all have. I think we've all come on in that respect. I can see.
True.
Yeah.
I'm really glad. And I know from time to time, Sharon, you've worried about whether this was the right time because there's so much going on. But in a way, I think the fact that it's felt like the wrong time has actually been the right time, because I know it sounds mad. But if you can, and same with you, Leslie, you know, in fact, you can never predict what will happen in life. Like, shit happens, frankly, doesn't it? And if you can move through this and make some progress despite all of the madness going on around you, then whatever you've done in this and whatever skills you've acquired and whatever shifts you've made will only get better. And so I think there is no good time or bad time. I think it's because if you'd come through this maybe and feeling all like everything was happy and lovely and skippy, and then gone into something that was really difficult without, you know, I think you almost have to be going through something to really get the most from it. And I'm not wishing that on anybody, but you know.
There is a tendency, isn't there? There is a tendency for us to say, well, I'll do that when I've done this, or I'll do that when that's better, and I'll start the diet on Monday when I've eaten all the ice cream from the freezer and eaten this box of chocolates I was given at Christmas, and I'll start the diet then, and then I'll do this then when I don't need to do it because I'll be better by then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think
just throw yourself in.
I think that's I have to say, I think that's some really good points there, Shirley. And one of the things I had thought a while ago was trying not to mention it was I also take my hat off to you, Leslie, from what you've been going through and still coming to the group. That must be really difficult. We're so glad you did.
Well, so am I. Oh no, my Tesco delivery's here.
Don't worry. I think
no, I don't think my.
Will you just excuse me a minute? There's someone banging at my door. I won't be a second. But I'd like to
say what's banging at Leslie's door.
No, yeah, he's only just. Oh, it's a she. No, I just quickly, surreptitiously looked at my app because they've started telling us a bit closer when the slot, you know, what time within the hour it's going to be, and it didn't say anything. So I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll be all right then. And it'll be nearer to 12 o'clock. Spot on 11.
Yeah. Well,
we can't complain. We should have finished it. And
I think, Shirley, what you were saying though is it's true to look at it in the way that if we've all gone through some stuff before we started this and during it, what it does then is can give you a range of skills to take when other stuff happens in life, because it does. So then go, okay, so I can draw on all of that now from that bad period, but then I learned this during it, or I took this on board during it, and now for this next bad period I'm going to go back to that and start, you know, use it as much as I can to keep going through the ups and downs that happen through life, really.
I think what I've benefited from as well, just quickly because she's going to get the stuff out in a minute, is the fact that it's been a very small group. And I think if it had been 6, 10, 12, I don't think we'd have had, well, there'd have been a lot of potentially different opinions and different experiences to bring to the group. But I think from my point of view, I would have probably, knowing what I used to be like, sort of let everybody else talk and maybe not got as much out of it in being able to share from my own experience. So you know, that's been quite nice. I mean, from Shirley's point of view, you know, maybe you wanted a slightly bigger group for, I don't know, but everybody's got a different perspective. But that's what I've sort of appreciated, that we've been, you know, we seem to have formed a bond quite quickly, being just a small group of us.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. Actually, I think that's really helped. It's been nice that you feel that you've got to know each other, and so you're able to say what you feel without worrying about the whole range of other people maybe trying to come in with something or too many opinions. Or it's just been really nice, just the few of us getting to know each other and feeling safe to talk about things in each, and having that time to do it, each of us.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry. I'm going to have to go. She's at the door.
No, it's all right. Lovely. Listen,
I'll pick up if you're recording the meditation. I'll pick up on that when I come back.
Yeah.
Or when you
what I
put it
might
back.
do is just record one and then upload it, because I know Sharon's got to go as well. So I'll probably I'll do that. All right.
Well, thank you very much. And
can I just say, can we all keep in touch? I'd like to keep in touch.
yeah, sure.
Say that.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll do a WhatsApp group or something, or we'll, but it'd be
we
great.
could still use that
If we all
Shirley's group,
keep
couldn't we?
in
Yeah.
touch, and Jackie too, if she wants to, anyway.
Yeah. Sorry, I am going to have to go.
Yeah,
Okay, but
don't
thank
worry,
you very
let's
much.
set something
Okay,
up.
I'll keep in touch.
Thank you.
Okay,
Let's keep in touch.
Yeah, sure.
definitely. Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Shirley.
Thank you. Yes, exactly. Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley.
No, you're welcome. So I'll record a short thing and I'll post it so you can listen to it if you like.
Do you have all our mobile numbers, Shirley? Do you have a mobile phone number? I can't remember if you needed
do I
those.
have yours or do you have mine? Did you say?
Either. Do you have either?
I will
Either
put
way.
my number in the group. I'll put my number in the group. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay. We'll sort something out anyway, and we'll all keep in touch. Hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking that. I thought maybe once a month or or whenever we could just have a catch up and chat.
Yeah. That'd be great.
More or less, I don't mind, whatever. But yeah,
we might even all get to meet up one day. You never know. After lockdown.
Yeah.
We should plan for that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Be great.
We should.
Yeah.
All right, I will shoot because I'm going to take Sprog to college.
So lots of love.
Thank you, Shirley.
Bye, thank
I hope you're back
Bye.
better, Geraldine.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Oh my